champion when him and his partner were supposed to die. A partner that caused a lot of controversy when this book first came out, given they changed Alan Scott's sexuality in this reboot. Now, I don't mind this at all on a surface level. Alan being gay? Sure. It's a new take on the character, and if they do something interesting with that change, I'm perfectly fine with it. Instead, they immediately fridged love interest Sam Zhao, using his death as motivation for Alan as the Green Lantern, and using his engagement ring as the vessel for his powers. Things do get better with the reveal that, post-mortem, Sam was the reason the train they were both on blew up in the first place, tying him into a conspiracy surrounding Apocalypse. But that's eventually undone. We'll get to that later, but for now, this is the new Alan Scott, this is the new Trinity, and these are the major players alongside the World Army's own heroes such as the Atom and the Sandmen in Earth 2. And you know what? The first 16 issues of this book ain't half bad. Robinson's major problem as a writer is overloading the page with internal monologues and exposition that we as an audience can simply understand through the art alone. I know he was praised for the work he did revitalizing the JSA in the past, and his prose can certainly be entertaining, but there are moments where I had to put the book down, rub my temples, sigh, and keep reading. But the content of the book, beyond a surface level, is really solid. The three-way conflict between the new heroes, the World Army and its internal politics, and the growing threat of Darkseid stresses the idea that this is a war that's taking place. Just like the original JSA, these characters are informed by the circumstances of their creation, and replacing a real-world conflict like World War II with a much more apocalyptic scenario is a smart move for bringing these concepts into the modern day. We still understand the gravity of the situation, but we don't need to apply real-world political knowledge or hindsight into that story. We can just focus on the characters, their internal and external conflicts, and the intricate world-building Robinson was allowed to do in a world such as Earth 2. Each character has their own motivation and goal, one we learn more about through their actions and the occasional writer's hand leading them to new villains like Solomon Grundy or Wotan. And when the war with Apocalypse finally begins properly, it does feel like everything has built up to this moment. Every subplot converges and justifies these characters doing the things they're doing. We get character development, Jay going from an aimless mama's boy to a kind-hearted and naturally born hero who's willing to put his life on the line. We see Kendra go from an outcast with wings she never wanted to a hero willing to protect her newfound friends. And we get to see Alan Scott go from the man who had everything to the man most willing to protect his planet at all costs. That, alongside a new, interesting, but wasted semi-insane Dr. Fate, and set up for characters like Wildcat, Hourman, and even a female Red Tornado inspired by the Ma Hunkel version, establishes that this world doesn't need a new Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman. They simply needed heroes. And the heroes we have now are here to stay. At least they were planned to. After 16 issues with the book stabilizing somewhere around the 40,000 copy range, James Robinson walked away from DC Comics altogether. While little is actually known as to why he left, many have speculated it was issues with DC's editorial preventing him from using key characters, as well as the second planned Earth 2 book being changed midway through development, going from a potential proper Justice Society book into, well, the world ending. For half a year, every single week.
I can't take this shit no more, man.
By this point in Robinson's run, the war with Steppenwolf and eventually Apocalypse had already begun. Steppenwolf and his half-Amazonian daughter Fury, yes, he banged Wonder Woman. We don't know how, we don't know why, doesn't matter, let's move on. Have started their assault on Eastern Europe, the World Army already suffering a major casualty in the form of Sarge Steele, who was burned to death in a fire pit in the middle of Rio de Janeiro. One of many fire pits, I might add, created by the now head scientist of the World Army, Terry Sloan. Who fucking sucks, I'm sorry. He set up sort of like a maker character from Marvel's Ultimate Universe. Someone doing something for their version of the greater good with knowledge most characters don't have and a purposely dickish personality meant to frustrate readers and characters alike. The only difference is that the maker is, I don't know, kinda cool? And Terry Sloan is never called Mr. Terrific, his original Golden Age counterpart. It's called Agent 08, which I'm just, okay. Instead, Mr. Terrific is a separate character entirely, one set up by Robinson, but an Earth Prime. He just ends up here at the end of his own short-lived series and only ever leaves at the end of the Earth 2 saga. Now you may be asking, do you need to read Mr. Terrific's solo book in order to understand this? No, it's explained in context. What about the other tie-in book starring the former Supergirl and Robin of this Earth 2, stuck on Earth Prime after their war with Apocalypse as they become Power Girl and Huntress respectively? No, because later events contradict their characterizations and stories anyways. Mr. Terrific only exists to be a smart guy that makes cool stuff to use, and I read over 80 issues of Earth 2 already to prove that this concept was doomed from the get-go. I digress. Steppenwolf releases his own private group of enforcers, the United Forces of the World Army's Wonders, and the vigilante group that heads the title, joining together to counteract Steppenwolf's armies. And while the odds are continually stacked against them, the Wonders of America helped evacuate and protect the remaining people still stuck in the crossfire, inspiring those on the battlefield fighting for their freedom, and saving those people without weapons or tools to defend themselves. And as Alan Scott flies and punches Steppenwolf, hoping to end the conflict for good, something amazing happens. He loses. Steppenwolf celebrates his premature victory, and then Brutal rips him in half. Brutal removes his helmet, declaring the Earth to be Darkseid's, and revealing Superman has been underneath the mask this whole time.
iPhone 15 in a mouse case. 3, 2, 1. Okay. And I'm all good. And MacBook Pros. Yeah.
We are Mouse, and we're on a mission to create the world's best thin phone cases. For those that hate cases, starting from 1.2mm thin to perfectly complement your phone's natural form, or better reflect your personal style. Super Thin offers protection from everyday drops and scratches, and incredibly strong MagSafe compatibility for ultimate functionality. Designed using exceptionally strong and stiff materials, like aramid fiber and partially recycled polycarbonate. We've deliberately incorporated cutouts in the case corners, where cracks usually start, and we've molded all internal corners to be incredibly smooth. This means you get all the same benefits of super thin cases with less chance of your case cracking. Considered design with an uncompromising aesthetic.
Thanks for watching. We do extreme product testing to show you what our products can withstand.
This is when Robinson stepped away. The glory these heroes finally embraced being cut short, a false positive that kicks us into Act 2, and a story now led by Tom Taylor.
You can take yourself out of this existential nightmare.
Tom Taylor isn't a bad writer. Sure, he has his quirks and not everything he makes is up to snuff personally, but his work on Injustice and his current Nightwing run prove that he's willing to play with the pantheon of DC Comics, let alone the medium of comics, in fun ways. His one major Earth 2 story arc, The Kryptonian, is no exception to this. It's probably the peak of the entire comic, which is sad, because there's over 60 issues to go. I wish I could say it gets better from here. The first major issue with Earth 2, specifically post-Robinson, is the change of focus from the pre-established trinity of Flash, Green Lantern, and Hawkwoman to a new group of characters led by one who was, yes, set up by Robinson before he left, but certainly wasn't meant to be the character he ended up being. Batman! But instead of it being Bruce, or potentially Dick as an adult, it's Thomas Wayne.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
No, this isn't Flashpoint Thomas. In Earth 2, it turns out Bruce's family was, say it with me now, connected to the Mafia. Only this time, when Thomas tried walking away from the mob life he met Martha through, a hit was put out on his family using lowlife thug Joe Chill. Surviving his bullet wounds, Thomas tells his own surgeon to fake his death so that Bruce is believed to be orphaned, taking away all future threats on his family's lives. So after years of hiding and planning his revenge, Thomas Wayne steals Miraclo, the very same drug Rick Tyler and his lineage use as Our Man, and juices routinely to enact his murder plot of the gangsters that killed his wife. Bruce finds out before it's too late, leading to him disowning his own father, but Thomas never really stopped loving Bruce despite being, you know, a deadbeat. So for years, he would stand 50 feet away from Bruce, but always watching him, including his daughter Helena he had with the villain-turned-hero Catwoman, choosing to honor his son's legacy after he sacrificed his life to end the parademon threat on Earth. How does a former surgeon over the age of 60 keep up with superpowered 20 to 40-year-olds? Easy. He keeps juicing. And not just Miraclo, which he stole, by the way. He uses Venom! Yes, the drug Bane uses to keep up with absolutely everyone. We're supposed to believe this guy's a genius, by the way. This is bad enough, but the other new characters we follow with Thomas Wayne as one of our new leads is none other than Lois Lane, whose brain engram has been engraved into the Red Tornado robot set up several issues earlier. Forced to not only be a weapon to protect humanity, but also acting as a mentor to a new Superman. one who was kept underground by Terry Sloan and used to help construct the fire pits, who was adopted by the House of El after his radical parents were executed by the Kryptonian High Council. Val Zod. Oh hey, that's where Black Superman comes from. Val Zod's introduction in this arc works really well, and the material written by Taylor with him does work. It's just a really weird status quo change. This whole time, it was stressed that this Earth didn't need these kinds of heroes anymore, didn't need a Batman or a Superman to really survive, that the new generation would rise to the challenge. Now we're just getting the same thing again, just needlessly different. They're also joined by the Queen of Atlantis, who they call Aquawoman, even though she doesn't like it. It's neither Arthur nor Mara, her name's Marella, but whatever. She's kinda cool, but she's also just there. Well, this arc has a great evil Superman story TM, and sets up things like Jay's godlike speed and healing factor, the return of Alan Scott from being nuked by Darkseid's forces, and a tighter, faster pace with quippier dialogue. There's still significant issues with this book starting to form. We see less and less of the original Trinity. Characters that were once significant, like Al Pratt as the Atom, lose their purpose once their arms are chopped off and are left to rot in the middle of nowhere for over 10 issues. The introductions of characters from DC's Fourth World saga, like the former star-crossed lovers Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, feel empty when their characterizations are so drastically different from their original incarnations. In short, Barda now leads the Furies, not Granny Goodness, and Mr. Terrific ends up for a short period romancing Steppenwolf's daughter Fury, which just makes the whole Fury thing even more confusing. DC editorial from back in the day claims that every version of the Fourth World characters seen in these comics are the exact same characters each time, no matter how nonsensical or contradictory it is to their current story. Inconsistent characterization is now the name of the game, and it won't stop here. And what was once the selling point, or at least an important aspect to this book, has taken a backseat to a roller coaster of never-ending action and never-ending misery. The second book that Robinson wanted to do was changed into Earth 2 World's End. What happens is exactly what it says on the label, but it's worth going into anyway. Earth 2 World's End was written by Daniel H. Wilson and Marguerite Bennett, a completely different creative team with 3 artists at any given time working on the weekly series. A series that led into an event comic that would once again change the trajectory of Earth 2, but we'll get to that when we get to it. For now, Earth 2 World's End is a miserable piece of garbage. The worst weekly comic I've ever read from the Big Two, and not for a lack of trying. There are moments where this duo of Wilson and Bennett do understand these characters, do try providing them with individual spotlight moments, such as bringing back Power Girl and Huntress from their own series and finally integrating them into the main cast. They try playing with lore Robinson set up, like how Green Lantern gets his powers from the green, like Swamp Thing, so every other life force suddenly summons their own avatars to help combat this new threat, including Sam. You know, his dead boyfriend, who now embodies the White. It turns out it was his destiny all along to die, so he could become this avatar, as well as bring Alan Scott back to life, so he could be the wielder of the green. Hey, remember when his father told Alan at his gravestone that he was being hunted by shady people for his connections to Apocalypse? Nope. Oh, it was Terry Sloan all along? Got it. Anyways, the avatars are complete jobbers who barely get anything done. Alan at the end of the story absorbing all of their powers and becoming the true embodiment of Earth, at the expense of his own memories and individuality. But the book following this completely forgoes that until the proper third act, and then that's thrown out the window too. Shit, sorry, I'm supposed to be focusing on the positives. It's kind of hard when the focus is split between 4 different subplots at any given time, including introducing a journalist version of Dick Grayson, who has a perpetual "I lost my son" problem. Babs is here too, but she's just a cop and she dies in a refugee camp. ACAB. But hey, we finally get introduced to Ted Grant, who should be Wildcat at this point, but isn't, instead acting as a friend and mentor to Dick as he survives the crumbling world around him. This version of Dick is, well, a dick. He makes it hard to believe that this guy would ever become Batman, which the book is certainly leaning into the longer it goes on. Whatever. Our main group of heroes is now led by Thomas Wayne as the World Army scrambles to get whatever's left of humanity into spaceships Terry Sloan has been hogging in separate dimensions. The place these ships are docked in is called Adam's Haven, because the World Army conscripted now one-armed Adam to grow really big underground, killing him instantly so they could set up the necessary infrastructure for space travel. There goes a character James Robinson spent a lot of time setting up, getting us interested in through an annual, and then murdering them for the sake of a heroic death. Al Pratt is done so dirty in this book, and then they reveal, hey, Sarge Steele ain't dead, when his whole debut issue was about the fact that I have no purpose beyond the World Army. I'd kill myself if I wasn't stuck like this. Now he's back! Yay! The only World Army character you grow to actually care about is Amir Khan, a holdover from Robinson's Run whose name is changed every 10 issues because, again, inconsistent writing. He dies heroically, sending plans about apocalypse to the rest of the cast, but it feels so hollow when it happens. That's kind of a running theme with World's End. Hollowness. These moments are things that sound cool, conceptually should work, but don't in execution. Huntress being kidnapped and turned into a fury for her closest friend and her disowned grandfather to fight? Cool. Only happens for 5 issues. The body modifications she underwent are completely ignored. The sudden moment that Dr. Fate breaks through their 24 issue long bout of insanity to help the rest of the group, proving that Nabu needs him just as much as him needing the helmet?
Very cool. Very cool.
The helm of Nabu is broken and then never repaired. Oliver Queen secretly being Red Arrow this whole time, stuck in a vault in the middle of the ocean with a chip that holds the DNA of every living being on Earth, hiding it from Terry Sloan specifically because he knows how much of a dick he is.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Oliver's barely a bit player after this. There's so many plot points in Earth 2 World's End that come and go, and barely build on each other as the story hurtles toward an unsatisfying ending. One that should be really cathartic given the remaining heroes left on the dying Earth fight off Darkseid one by one. Alan Scott is the one who saves the day, and then they're whisked away, into the intermission, I'd call it, between Acts 2 and 3 of this narrative. Did someone say event comic? No! Convergence was an event pitched as a battle royale between characters and places that no longer held relevance in the prime DCU. Everything from pre-crisis to post-crisis, JLI to JSA, all battling for dominance on what is effectively Battleworld, just ran by a godlike Brainiac who's ascended after the Flashpoint paradox. He put this alien guy, Telos, in charge of managing the battles, who he brainwashed after destroying his entire planet, and basically made him into a mini Brainiac with liquid metal powers. The Earth 2 heroes that were in the final battle are teleported onto the planet with no designated city, so after a brief stint as prisoners for Telos, they all go and search for allies or a way back to their own dimension. This is where Thomas Wayne and Dick Grayson team up, the two running into Alfred and a younger Bruce Wayne of no discernible universe. And for a brief moment, the book is good again. The characters have moments that feel impactful, like Dick being told by this Alfred that regardless of what dimension he comes from, he always finds his way back to the Bat. So when Thomas dies and Dick is shot in the spine mid-combat, Telos, who for some reason relates to Dick's aimlessness and gripes about failing his family, grants him temporary use of his legs again as Dick emblazons a bat symbol on his chest. I mean, he only has practical combat training and 0 strategic knowledge, but sure, he's Batman now. Neat. Meanwhile, sacrilege is being committed on the cult DC fantasy series Warlord as the main villain Deimos tries taking over the entire planet, killing the titular warlord and angering what fanbase that book still had as the Earth 2 heroes finally unite with a bunch of other planet-locked heroes, turning the tide of battle against the coined evil characters and... Okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way. Jay Garrick runs into 2 versions of the Flash, Wally, then Barry. Never, for more than a panel, is he ever seen with the original Jay Garrick, who is here with the JSA. They never cross over. It's a character moment I was begging to see, and like all things in Earth 2, it failed to capture it. Deimos is killed by Parallax Howe, who is also here, and dooms the multiversal planet and basically the fabric of reality to shit. Brainiac descends and says, hey, you can fix this, just go back to the original Crisis and make sure the multiverse doesn't go extinct. Which the heroes do, including the ones destined to die in the Crisis, and then poof! We have the multiverse again. I thought we already had that. Reality stabilizes, the Earth Prime heroes never being involved, I might add, as Telos is tasked with returning all of these people and their cities to their prime realities with no memories of what exactly transpired. Except for Earth 2, which doesn't have a planet. So, as a thank you to Dick and pals for helping him remember who he was before Brainiac, Telos warps the deserted planet into Earth 2's dimension, giving Alan Scott the ability to bring organic life to the husk of a world. Alan signals the arcs of humanity, the 3 million some odd people still alive, that they have a world to come back to. And that world will still be shit. Earth 2 Society is the final book of Earth 2, and given the subtitle, it implies this is where things finally come together. They do, but not without a cost. In the first arc written by Daniel H. Wilson, things immediately go back to being terrible. People are out of character, Dick has to use an exoskeleton now since his Telos powers went away, and the world is doomed to be without natural resources given the planet Telos gifted them was so alien to begin with. At least Terry Sloan dies after revealing there's some kind of traitor amongst the surviving humans. You know, the people he willingly slaughtered crashing into this planet's surface so they didn't get his secrets. When he died, I laughed. Anyways, the first arc ends with everybody's conflict with each other being resolved, the world doomed given the data chip Oliver Queen brought with him was corrupted in some way, and now the planet is covered in biomutants. Also, humanity hates the Wonders now. Great. Wilson was quickly removed from the book and the rest of its run was handed to Dan Abnett, who kept it at a stable 20,000 copies and below before the book finally ended. For comparison, when it first launched, Earth 2 was at 68,000 copies. It dropped to the low 40s before World's End, and during World's End, the readership got sliced in half. Even readers back in the day knew that Earth 2 was a lost cause, and the only people still reading are those brave enough, or at least delusional enough, to think that somehow this will all make sense in the end. So, this sinking ship needed to be docked, and it needed to soon. Luckily, Dan Abnett wrote the aforementioned JSA tie-in to Convergence, and that's probably the best book of that whole event. Turns out, the traitor that was alluded to earlier was Ultra Humanit. Yes, I'm dead serious. He snuck on board, survived the crash, took in 20-some-odd orphans, including Dick's son Johnny, who's sometimes called Tommy because editors don't exist, I guess, genetically modified each of them into his private army, seeded doubt within the colonized city so they would go to war, and made monster mutants for the remaining Wonders to fight so he could steal an Amazonian artifact brought by Fury that has the ability of completely rewriting the world to be just as it was on their original Earth. Just like the data chip Bruce made, except magic this time. Ultra Humanit begins his assault, and Dick quickly realizes one of the orphans is his son and vice versa, who's been artificially aged up to around 15 because DC can't seem to write realistic children. Humanit takes over the mind of Alan Scott, who raids their base of operations, steals the artifact, and with the death of Oliver Queen and the interference of Fury, the artifact is used and the world is remade anew. Except, there are no superheroes. The ones who survived the blast, meaning the principal cast in the room when the artifact exploded, are trapped outside reality until they find a way to break back in. Literally, they have to break in. This is a world now ruled by Ultra Humanit from the shadows, using Wesley Dodds, the only remaining World Army Wonder, as his personal lapdog, joining with a new Sarge Steel and freeing Alan, who Ultra Humanit was keeping as his secret weapon underground. The Wonders defeat this shadowy dictatorship permanently by killing Ultra Humanit, and doing a fake-out death for Dick, which doesn't work at all. We end our story with Earth 2 being in relative peace. Power Girl and Val Zod are seemingly in a relationship again. They had issues back when Wilson was writing. Huntress has become Batman, with Johnny as her superpowered Robin. Jay, Alan, and Kendra remain close friends and allies who meet weekly with this team they consider their family. And last but certainly not least, Dick Grayson becomes Oracle, acting as the leader and information dispenser for the new Justice Society. There may never be true peace on this Earth, or for this dimension, but the Justice Society will protect us all, no matter what happens. The end.
Please clap.
What a genuine mess of a book. I do like some moments even outside of Robinson's initial setup. Convergence was a neat surprise from Jeff King and Scott Lobdell of all people. Some of Society's conflicts were interesting, like Jimmy Olsen ascending to godhood, which I completely neglected to mention because it barely mattered in the end, or the reveal Val Zod helped make the fire pits. However, World's End ruined this book for most people. If I wasn't reading this for a retrospective, I would have also tapped out. So, what happened to Earth 2 after this point? Nothing. The original JSA were restored in the main timeline after DC Rebirth, Scott Snyder reintroducing them before Jeff Johns started a small pop-up imprint called the New Golden Age. And the characters of the Earth 2 reboot have either been forgotten to time, or Val Zod, who occasionally shows up in other books like The Adventures of John Kent. That's it. If this book's declining relevance and complete buffoonery has proven anything, it's that fans truly do love the JSA. When Jay Garrick was first teased in The Button by Tom King and Joshua Williamson, it was pure hype fuel. Waiting for Doomsday Clock to return the universe to a sense of normalcy was a highlight of my regular comic book reading teen years. And it's weird, since I never grew up with any of these characters, only the ones they inspired. Why is that? It's simple. More than anything, the JSA represent the values and best qualities of the DCU. Hope even in your darkest hour, the unification of empowered people from across the world, a growing roster of familial legacies and friendships alike, and of course, the unique link to its world's history, a world that makes much more sense with them in it than without. I hope Earth 2 gets touched on again, not in a huge crisis that destroys their universe, but on a small scale. I like these incarnations a lot despite my misgivings, and like any good comic book fan I know, it just takes one creative team to turn a bad concept into something special. Read Earth 2 if you want. I left a lot of plot threads out of the video so you can discover them for yourselves. It may be a slog and may be one of the worst books you've ever experienced, but the ride is kind of worth it. Kind of. Or just read the John Squire JSA run. Probably your safest bet. Thank you for watching.
Alright, so we're back. We just sold all the stuff, made it.
Oh, I think that's it.
Alright, come on.
Ooh.
Better than crap. A1, lust, and I'll be happy. Here we go.
Come on.
Oh!
Yeah.
Alright. Nice. Now we're talking. Alright, okay. Alright. I'm not even that far in. Alright, here we go. A bit kink. Alright.
Please.
And A1, I think A1 lust would be better, personally. So if you get A1 lust, I personally think it'd be better.
Shitty one, I'm gonna be so upset.
Oh!
Yes!
Right at the fucking bell. Hell yeah, babe. Let's go. Right at the fucking bell. I told you, babe, you gotta get 2 shit ones.
Oh,
Alright? And then they give you exactly what you want. You got another.
So
Alright, here's the thing.
You dare think you can resist me? Download Watcher of Realms for free now.
So it kicks off with an old Adonis Creed in his very last fight versus Ricky Conlon, who his first professional fight was versus where he lost. I respect it. My man going out with who he came into this with. This is the same thing Myth did. Bro said if Fanart gonna fall off, then so is my career. But Creed in here looking like Unk, getting cooked up, about to get hit with the
You had a good run. Enjoy your retirement.
losing your first and possibly last fight to the same man and having those two be your only 2 losses in your career. Ricky is a bigger form of kryptonite to Creed than basketball is to Bronny James. They out here telling him to jab, but he didn't even get the chance, getting hit with 2 body shots in the right. He talking crazy too while whooping him.
Same Creed. Ain't not changed.
Nah, that's crazy. How can you say that? His hairline clearly receded. Ricky and Creed then take turns blocking each other's 3 pieces, weave, double left. At this point, Creed's supposed to be one of the greatest to ever do it, and his coach can't believe it. He like, what's up with your mans? Meanwhile, Bianca's like, I don't even know that nigga for real. At this rate, he'll be in retirement, stuttering, telling interviewers that he ain't get no brain damage for real. Ricky's double left into a right and then is able to weave 3 more but catch a right. Got Bianca scanning the crowd for a new husband while his fans ripping his poster off their walls. He's getting his face punched in. They told their moms they wanted to be like Creed, not Rihanna. Ricky throws to fake into a right as Donnie blocks and Creed starts spamming then blocking, and it's in this moment where his mastered ultra instinct seems to kick in. Ricky goes for a right and we see Creed dodge and in real time peek the opening, and I'm thinking now's his time to cook up. So finally he jabs, landing a hit, but Ricky not taking him serious, just out here cheesing. Creed hit him with one of those Stephen A. Smith Looney Tune ass punches. Shit look like they feel good as hell. Creed throws a jab and gets countered. Ricky fakes and a right. He's 5 more punches taken away from having a language barrier with other English speakers right now. Creed's blocked, 1-2 right, throws 3 more and the same counter. But Creed's got the Sharingan activated. He knows exactly what's coming. So Creed dodges the right and peeps the opening again, and the round ends. It's a good thing Creed knows the Naruto techniques.
What do you think Michael B. Jordan's favorite anime is? Favorite anime is Naruto Shippuden.
He loves it so much, bro created his own pronunciation for the show. His coach raging, his girl throwing up her set, whoopee gang shit, and Creed is just cheesing cause he said it's checkmate. Creed gets up ready and the next round starts. For the start of the round, Donnie and Ricky are like just pacing around the ring while the announcer is talking about how Father Time has caught up with Creed. They want my nigga to put down the gloves and pick up a knitting kit, turning into a fucking auntie. Creed blocks, 2 body shots and a weave. Donnie stares him down and jabs, block, 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 and eats a right. And I'm confused now, cause didn't bro say this fight is checkmate? Did he mean checkmate for himself? But based on the way we see how Donnie locks in, I knew right here, he wasn't finna end his career like Eminem.
Toby Maguire got bit by a spider. Me, musta got bit by a goat.
Creed weaves and hits a rib shot, ducks to left and returns with a double left, ducks again and another body shot. His coach couldn't believe it. Bianca stands up and it's really over. As Ricky Conlon falls to the ground like a sack of potatoes, the ref runs over and gives him a count, but his ass ain't getting back up. And Adonis Creed ends his career with a 26-1 record, revenging his one and only loss to finish out his career. So it's been 3 years since Donnie has retired, and post-retirement, he's out here giving motivational speeches with his perfectly intact, not damaged at all brain, and his new apprentice is Felix Chavez, who's the new heavyweight title holder. And Creed has been able to set up the biggest fight ever between Felix and Victor Drago, who he's friends with now. But on his way out the gym, he's confused, like, who the fuck this crackhead ass nigga leaning on my car? But this is Dame, and he was Donnie's older best friend back in the day. Donnie used to go to all his amateur fights. They were tighter than Minecraft YouTubers and grooming. But one day, Donnie ran into his old abuser and put the beats on that man outside a convenience store. Didn't even let my nigga cop his Red Bull first or nothing. But his old abuser's homies pulled up, and that's when Dame pulled out the strap. The cops pull up, and Creed is able to hit the dash to get out of there, but Dame's black ass gets locked up for 18 years. Keep in mind, Donnie hasn't seen or spoken to Dame since. He felt guilty and didn't think Dame would want to see him. It's that survivor's guilt. This must be how Zac Efron feels. I haven't seen the rest of these niggas in anything since High School Musical. Creed tells him, if you need any money, I got you. And Dame tells him, nah, I don't need your money. I got a fire car and my house in the hills. Dame just wants a title fight, which is impossible. You can't have 0 professional fights and get a shot at the title. But Creed manages to get him a sparring match with Felix. He shakes it off, blocks 2, and returns with one of his own. They continue to go around the ring, throwing punches and blocking and dodging punches. Felix is just feeling him out, very similar to how the Cheeks Collector would do to Dame in the Slammer. Until Dame goes into an illegal clinch with Felix and punches him in the shoulder, clearly trying to injure him. So it's obvious now, he ain't a fair fighter. Bro playing prison ball. I ain't even foul you for real type shit. They get into a scuffle real quick, but it gets separated. So at the promotion party for the Felix and Drago fight, him and Creed say what's up to one another. Creed done beat the friendship into this nigga. But a fight breaks out and ultimately results in Drago getting his hand broken by this man right here. Pushing Creed to desperation, if he can't get Felix an opponent, they might have to put Bryce Hall on the card, and we don't need that again, bro, please. So he gives Dame the heavyweight title shot versus Felix. And as Dame is doing his walkout in a black blanket, he co-holds in with his scissors. The crowd is not feeling him at all, going towards the ring to straight boos and, yo, who the fuck is this nigga? But it don't matter, he's here now. Meanwhile for Felix, it's the exact opposite. He walking out to straight fanfare, Creed looking at him like a proud father as he gets in the ring and tells Dame it's over. Which it should be. Dame spent all this time in prison fighting for the last gourmet dessert, a pack of Ritz crackers, and guarding his cheeks. This doesn't equate to fighting heavyweight champ boxing training. But the round starts and Dame is hitting hezzies, throwing a jab, and getting countered. He tries to shake it off, but a fake body shot left. It's looking bad, man. If only his opponent was white bitches instead, he'd be cooking right now. Felix lands a jab, weaves it right, and Dame is able to block both punches. Pretty solid, but then Felix weaves left, right, and Dame goes in for a hug. Win, lose, or draw, he's going out this arena with this fight check. He had to tell him thanks real quick. But it's when he heard Donnie rooting for Felix, he gets jealous. You're supposed to be rooting for me. And Dame locks in as Felix throws 2 jabs, gaining ring position, putting him against the ropes. And Felix has got him right where he wants him. Starts spamming punches, landing an uppercut, left, counter, block. I don't know how the crowd feels, but I'd be sick. Imagine paying to see Kobe vs LeBron 1v1, you show up and his fucking flight reacts instead. Felix lands a right and throws 3 shots to the body, but gets countered and delivers 2 rights on his own, going in for another one, but before he could even get the chance, Dame whips out Old Reliable, doing that weird ass shoulder punch to weaken him. Everybody's confused, like, what the hell was that? As Dame blocks 2 and lands a right while Coach speaking in Swahili again. I swear I've only ever seen fighters struggle when this nigga is in the corner. Man, where the hell is Rocky when you need him? Felix is calling this man's career a midlife crisis, and Dame's got a point. He probably knows it takes a tough man to get his shit spread like butter. Felix's 3 punches get blocked, eating another shoulder shot while the crowd is lost. They ain't never seen these techniques. They looking like Naruto's ops when he bust out talk no jutsu. You don't gotta do this. You right. Dame goes into a clinch, hitting Felix with the right weave, starts blocking a lot, holding a right left. Unk's brain is getting turned into oatmeal, so he busts out his signature move again, hugging Felix more than his girl do, and decided right here playing fair ain't it. A bunch of pros be cheating. Pat Bev be cheating all the time. It's against the rules to distract their opponents with such ugliness. Keeps in the clinch and knees his knee, delivering a 3-piece as Felix starts talking to the ref. You ain't see what he just did? Meanwhile, the ref just standing there like,
what? Wait, what'd I miss?
Right blocked, left, right after the bell already rang. Got even the announcer saying some,
Anderson might need to freshen up on the rule book, Al.
They foul for that. They know he can't read. Creed's still clapping for Felix and Dame's looking like,
oh, so that shit do, nigga?
Meanwhile, Tony's telling Felix to not worry about the ref. Fight your fight. I'ma see that nigga after the match. And then there's Dame, who's not even listening to his coach. Push that man to the side. It's the start of round 2, and Dame practically sprints out his corner. He trying to get right to it. Into a duck, Felix ducks and sets up a right body weave block left. I don't know, man. This fight seems way closer than it should be. How the hell was Felix supposed to beat Drago? Creed's glazing, got Felix blushing as he weaves one right nicely but holds the next. His mom looking like she ready to put him up for adoption at 27 years old. As they continue on, Felix ducks a left and lands a right uppercut right, and this is where Dame rests his gloves on this man's shoulder. Looking like he about to give him some grade A advice as Felix throws a left and Dame got him hitting the fucking Donkey Kong wind up. And this is where the fight takes a turn for the worst. Dame's right left looks like he was trying to take this man's head off. Into another right, pushing him against the ropes, got Creed looking like he ready to take his daughter home, and I get it. My parents did the same thing for me for the entirety of Transformers 5. No one should ever have to see that shit. Dame hits him in the arm again and purposely cuts Felix with his elbow, got the crowd ready to jump in there. And the crazy part is, he's got no shame about it either. That hurt, huh? I couldn't imagine being a fish and beating Michael Phelps in a race and being like, yeah, where your gills at, nigga? The ref tells Felix to stay there. This ass whooping will continue shortly. Calls Dame over, taking off 2 points, and then the ref calls the fight back on. Felix comes out throwing a bunch, all getting blocked until he lands a double left. And Dame got me crying, bro, cause look at this man's fighting pose. Why his leg stands like that? He moving like Jimmy from South Park. But his unorthodox movements must have had Felix all types of distracted, cause he gets caught with a right left, ducks the left, lands a right body, and catches a right. That punch was vicious, had Felix turned around like somebody's calling his name, as he lands a right to end the round, while they go back to walk to their corners. Creed still glazing while Dame's still looking like a jealous ex. Felix is doing so bad, Donnie had to come over like, you know he's 5 days out of prison, right? He not even properly nutritioned, been eating straight Twinkies and Spam. Meanwhile, the coach...
My mantra is that every next level demands a different you, and Purdue Global is giving me an opportunity to prepare myself for that next level. This is my comeback. Start yours today at purdueglobal.edu.
With this ABC 1, 2, 3 ass speech, bro talking about pain is temporary. Man, he's hitting the Rock Lee right now. It's raps. The next round starts and it only took 3 seconds for Creed to start face palming. But it doesn't get any better for the champ. I don't know how he got that belt. Who the hell did he beat to get it? Felix takes one to the arm, then one to the face. Rib shot so powerful it made him lift off the ground, get weaved, ribs, head, uppercut, body shot. Shit got so bad, bro, that Bianca had to take their daughter out of there. She can't watch this murder occur. While Dame does his signature, giving Felix a hug against the ropes. I don't know why. You're frying him. You're only delaying him getting knocked out. So the ref separates the clinch. Enough of this gay ass shit, y'all box. As he continues swinging haymakers, everyone more violent than the other, until it's all over. Champ did all that training just to lose to a booty collector, as he throws an uppercut and gets dropped with a disgusting right, like a mattress, and bro is not moving. Shit got so spooky, Creed had to run in and ask the doctor if bro's still breathing while Dame just emoting. And Dame is like, look bro, I won. While Creed is like, fuck, this is bad for the sport. This is like how Kai winning streamer of the year every year. Now all of us gotta be fucking iCarly too? So after the fight, Creed goes to see his mom and she reveals to him that Dame wrote to him all the time while he was in prison. She hid them from Adonis because she didn't want him to end up as an ass assassin as well. If he had known though, he would have wrote to Dame or went to see him knowing that he's not actually mad at him. But he peeps in one of these photos that Dame posted up with this guy from prison. And that's the guy who turned Drago's hand into canned tuna. So Creed goes to press him, asking Dame, why would you lie to me? I gave you a title shot, invited you in my home. And Dame acting all bougie, bro, talking about, I'm the champ. Nigga had one fight. And it's been a few hours. When did he make all these friends? This nigga won his fight and then rented henchmen. Dame tells Donnie he doesn't need him anymore and decks him in his shit. And Creed walks away knowing he's gonna have to sleep this man. So Creed is on first take with Stephen A. Hairline and Dame calls in challenging him to a fight. Bro calling out a 39-year-old retired man, bruh. Could you imagine Loki pressing Cap now? Yeah, what's good now, nigga? Put the shield up. But ultimately, Creed accepts the fight and they go on their mandatory training montages. Bro, he's won one fight. Oh yeah, he got critical CTE. Creed gotta be careful. Especially because Tony starts listing off the injuries that Creed has at this point. Fractures in both hands, his eye socket is broken, a ruptured knee, shoulder is messed up, torn up ductor. But Creed is locked in, you know, because look at his hairline. Bro ain't had a cut in weeks. So they both train their ass off, Creed going even as far as to have his boy Drago spar with him. And in the end, it's time for the fight. So Creed starts his walkout, and the original music was Big Sean. This nigga's trying to curse himself. He got the American red, white, and blue Grim Reaper fit on, ready to knock this thug out in the name of America. And then there's Dame, acting like a 15-year-old vet. His ass still a rookie. Those fights to get dudes off your cheeks in the pen don't count, bro. Flexing these belts, he just like Jason Tatum. Haven't seen bro put that fucking trophy down once since they won. The crowd is cheering for both fighters, out here moving like straight thoughts. Looks like they've both got home court advantage in a way. Meanwhile, the ref with that 1980s ass high top starts briefing them, and both fighters are clearly super locked in. So much so that they opt to not even touch gloves with one another. But none of that matters now, because the bell rings and the fight starts as Creed throws a few empty jabs. But he's clearly very rusty right now. He's in there doing a whole lot of nothing whatsoever, straight cardio. It got so bad, bro got hit, ducks, and just starts hugging Dame, and then Dame goes in and Creed just hits the dash out of there. Even Felix in the crowd telling Donnie to keep his hands up, and I don't know if Creed should listen to him. That's like taking running advice from Rohan Murphy. Even his coach Tony is angry too, telling Creed he giving Dame too much respect. He's 40 years old, probably got a kidney stone in one professional fight. Sleep his ass, bro. Donnie's sick of this shit and throws 3 weave body shot, misses, uppercut, blocks 2, and a slide to the left. He's cooking. As 3 gets blocked, right hook, and ducks the left. Creed took his Corey Extension upload schedule break from fighting, and now he's catching his groove again. As Dame throws a left body weave, duck, double left, and starts pressing him against the ropes relentlessly, delivering straight body shots. Someone like Case was immune to these attacks, and diets. As Creed blocks 2 and counters the 3rd to end the round, giving him that LeBron James to Steph Curry stand down.
That's what I'm talking about! All right, look, Donnie. I'll see you in a minute. Don't worry, I'll be right back.
This the type of stuff I love to see, man. I love the drama. Call his ass a monkey. Round 2 starts and they both damn near sprint out their corners to take turns airbending. Got everyone in the crowd ducking like Avatar Aang done went rogue. As Creed ducks and returns with the left, and then they both really start to get in their bag, putting on a show for the fans. As Creed ducks and weaves the 4-piece, returning with a double left, duck, jab, jab, jab. My boy in there moving like Killmonger, and we know that man was holding up Black Panther in the air like Simba from Lion King. To then both of Creed's jabs get blocked, deflecting Dame's landing a heavy left. But Dame wasn't about to get shown up. I used to have to speed you home so you don't miss your bedtime and get an ass whooping. You low, bro. And Dame weaves and blocks a 3-piece. Body, right.
Yeah! They squabbling out in there!
Then catches a left, takes a cheap shot, getting pressed by the ref.
Cheap shot, you got old man? Huh? Can't beat me heads up?
Creed is hilarious. Bro's only a few years younger. This just two old niggas screaming at each other. As Dame's left is ducked and hooks Donnie's arm, punching it, landing a body shot. Creed is tired of the cheating that Dame is doing. The fuck I look like? Beyonce? He not finna let that shit slide any longer. Creed misses and starts getting pressed into the corner. Body, block, 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 right. But Dame's been studying Creed's weak points. He knows how Drago turned his ribs into oatmeal. Blocking Creed, flurry of attacks, landing a rib shot. This isn't even cheap. This is just smart now. I can't blame him. I'm going into battle versus speed with straight perfume. As Creed gets blocked, misses a hook, blocks 2 rib shots, and a nasty right. Donnie's coach starts telling him to wrap him up, but Adonis is moving like Tyreek Hill. We don't believe in that. Block, weave, countering nicely, blocks 2. Hold that, boy. Donnie had to let him know too.
Thought the shit was gonna be easy.
Thing is, he did think that. Came into this bitch licking his lips like Orochimaru versus the 4th Hokage. Knew Gramps would be a nice KD booster. Dame throws a 3-piece, blocks Creed, ducks, hold that, block, block, another. As the bell rings and they both head over to their corners, sitting there staring at one another, having flashbacks to when they were younger and best friends. Dame was a way better friend than me, for real. Don't ever do a crime in front of me, bro. I will not be doing time for anyone. They both put in their mouthpieces and get back up, and suddenly, it's only them. No more coaches, no more refs, no more niggas in the crowd on the brink of tears because of their parlay. It's just them two, the sound of each punch sounding even more vicious. This scene being inspired from Kakashi versus Obito from Naruto. As Creed lands a right and Dame taps his jaw. That boy was in prison sucking crazy, got jaws of steel now. You gotta do better than that. Creed then ducks a mean right hook, 2 punches blocked, weave, duck. Jesus. Boy got rocked so hard, he looked like his ass got a sneeze. Beating the allergies into this nigga is a new one. Creed goes and throws 2 jabs, but then gets bopped by a 2-piece into a jail cell door. And this isn't just a fight, this is a story being told. It's like how people are with interpretive dance. Niggas be hitting anything and getting called breathtaking. And Dame takes his anger out on Creed. Yeah, now you know how my cheeks go, nigga. Ah! Got Donnie pressed up against the gate, blocking for his entire life, catching straight body shots, getting his face smudged away now. That's disrespectful. So Creed jabs and lands the second one, catches a 2-piece, returns with his own uppercut. Creed finishes staring up at Avatar Aang, Harambe, Mufasa, and not Kobe, dodging 4 attacks and returns with a right, left, block, rib shot. And Dame's still furious. Look at his face. Bro ain't visit him once. Clearly didn't even send him some commissary money for a cut. So he just aggressively hugs his ass. But Creed and Dame are not close like that anymore. Get your sweaty self off of me. Throwing him into the corner and just starts welting on him. Body. Got Dame in shambles. Look at my man's face. His ass looked like he about to cry. And it just continues. Right, left, holds him there and uppercuts so hard the camera panning to the stars. And when he comes back, Creed's right gets countered with a body left, right back, right uppercut. And they not even getting creative anymore with their attacks, just spamming, trying to take each other's head off. Creed blocks, hold that. 1-2, right back. And so now right here is where I knew these hits were really OD, because the damage done got both of them growling at each other. That can't be normal nor healthy. Listen, boxing isn't for anyone who can't take a hit and wants to be able to do math of a 2nd grade level still. Creed weaves body block and they trade punches to one another, looking like Goku versus Vegeta, and that's the end of the round. As they go back to their corners and round 12 is to commence, Tony tells Creed that he's boxing and needs to start fighting. Let go of all the regret, all the guilt. Nobody told his spat ass to whip out that gun, and Donnie's eating it up. You right, that nigga is slow, giving him a fist bump, and it's time for round 12. So they both must have gotten all the motivation they needed coming out ready to end this, as Creed ducks the right and they trade rights. Coach told him fuck boxing, start fighting, so Creed decided to forget defending himself. Missing body shot, gets caught left, right, back at you. And Dame tries to cheat, but Creed stops it and shakes his head to let bro know that's not finna work anymore. Gotta drink some carrot juice and find new tricks, old man. Weave and counters, weave, body. Dame blocks 3 hits and just grabs him. This is crazy, bro. He's literally holding my man by the collar somehow when they don't even have on shirts. And the ref doesn't see it when people in the nosebleeds can. Bitches be like, oh my god, it's Drake. Dame hits my man with a right, left, right, another hard left, on the ropes, body, right, left, and gets blocked, and Donnie charges up his right to knock the Kool-Aid out of Dame's black ass, hitting him with a mean hook. And this is how you know Creed's really feeling himself, cause bro got that Freezer type smirk on his face, and it's for a good reason, cause Dame baits him into a right hook and delivers a gut punch just like the lesbian got bro falling to his knees. It's looking bad as Creed looks up to his family and Dame tells him to get up, boy.
That's gotta be racist, there's no way.
Meanwhile, he's fighting for his life and the ref's counting. He's on 6, but Creed's seeing 14. But in the end, he does manage to beat the count and stand back up, ready to go. Bro pulled the freezer and was able to come back. They ran out of creative new villains and just started spamming this nigga. Dame sprints out his corner going crazy. He should have stayed down, but Creed manages to land a left of his own. And that wasn't the turning point. This is not the plot twist. RDJ, put that fucking mask down. As Dame hits him with a body and a hard right. Creed's staring at bro, and look how he's moving. Homie busted a move mid-fight, but Creed's not feeling it at all. That shit weak as hell. Nigga, you not Mike Jack, and then just hugs him. This must have been the "we were brothers once before" hug before calling an end to all these shenanigans. Pushing Dame off, left, right, and 2 jabs got the crowd on the edge of their seats knowing that Dame is on his last limb. Yes. Creed throws a right while Coach is dick riding a nasty uppercut jab. All Dame could do is play defense. The momentum has clearly shifted. Bro got out of 18 years of prison, had the day of his life, and that shit finna turn upside down already. Another jab, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Gee, I wonder what's coming next. Bro not even trying to switch it up. He Kareem with that Neolithic era ass sky hook. Creed sees the opening, going in with the second right, and that's all she wrote, folks. I knew it was bad for Dame when I peeped that Donnie had this nigga hitting the smooth criminal lean mid-knockout. It's crazy, Dame just wanted to fulfill his life goal of being a pro boxer too. Bro got his ass beat for following his dreams, and Creed and his family celebrating right in his face. Bro got knocked out so hard they had to help him get up to his feet. Looked like he just been sniped. I'm crying. Hey, I appreciate y'all for watching. Videos on the second channel. We currently playing Arkham Origins. My Twitch link is also going to be in the description, but make sure to check out the second channel, man. I've been editing since 1 p.m. It is currently 8 a.m. How many hours is that? Like 15? I don't know. I'm going to sleep. Have a nice day.
Old Spice Gentleman Super Hydration Body Wash. Vanilla and shea. 24/7 moisturization with vitamin B3.
Are you using all the Old Spice?
Oops.
Incoming dishes!
Dawn Power Wash flies through 99% of grease in half the time.
The better grease get.
So it kicks off with an old Adonis Creed.
The Earth in the DC universe is not the same as our Earth. It may have striking similarities on a surface level, even some real people coexisting between our world and the one in the funny pages.
Why is Kamen Rider so legendary? From 1971's original Kamen Rider series to 2024's Kamen Rider Gav, the Kamen Rider franchise has built an incredible legacy and a rich history within Japan and throughout the entire world. This video will cover every single Kamen Rider series throughout history, as well as other major milestones in the franchise like movies, games, and even American adaptations. So if you want a video that you can show to people who don't know what Kamen Rider is, or if you just want to take an entertaining walk with me through the complete history of this legendary franchise, this is the video for you. To tell the story of the Kamen Rider franchise, we first have to go all the way back to 1938, where a young child named Shotaro Onodera was born in the town of Tomei in Miyagi Prefecture, Japan. Shotaro would take on the name Ishinomori, and he showed a lot of creativity and a talent for creating characters from a young age. He showcased his abilities in various manga competitions throughout his childhood before he would eventually create a character named Skullman that would of course go on to become Kamen Rider.
Kamen Rider.
Kamen Rider is perhaps best known for featuring young adult men that become cyborgs and transform into armored superheroes with a theme of grasshoppers and other insects, although this has loosened up a lot over time, and in the modern age, not all series feature this bug theme. In fact, most don't. There are 3 eras of Kamen Rider, and these coincide with the eras of Japan's history. These eras are known as the Showa era, spanning from 1926 to 1989, the Heisei era, spanning from 1989 to 2019, and the Reiwa era, which spans from 2019 through the present day. In 1971, Kamen Rider was born with the iconic original series, starring 2 main protagonists in Takeshi and Hayato, as they would take on Shocker and later Gel Shocker. Unlike modern-day seasons of Kamen Rider, this series ran for a whopping 98 episodes. And we would start with the story of Takeshi Hongo, a college student who was turned into a cyborg by Shocker, but they were unable to fully convert his mind, and he would rebel and battle against them. While filming a motorcycle stunt, Takeshi Hongo's actor Hiroshi Fujioka was injured and had to be replaced. They would replace him by Hayato Ichimonji, played by Takeshi Sasaki, and eventually they would join forces together, becoming the iconic Double Riders. This series set iconic tropes such as Kamen Rider being a cyborg fighting an evil organization, and of course his preferred method of transportation, his rider machine Cyclone. To say that this series was iconic and legendary would be a huge understatement. In 1973, Toei would follow up the success of Kamen Rider with Kamen Rider V3, a direct sequel, featuring returning characters from Kamen Rider. In this series, Shiro Kazami wants to be a cyborg in order to avenge his family that he saw being killed by Destron. He becomes mortally wounded while risking his life to protect the Double Riders. So in return, they turn him into Kamen Rider V3. This series features Joji Yuki, also known as Rider Man, played by Takahisa Yamaguchi, who has one of the most unique rider suit designs in the franchise, being that his mouth is exposed through his helmet. Our protagonist Shiro is played by Hiroshi Miyauchi, who also played Owl Ranger in Go Ranger, Big One in Jaka, and Chief Counselor Naoyuki Miura in O Ranger, plus multiple seasons of the Metal Hero franchise. This guy is a Toku legend. As far as V3 suit design, it was a natural evolution from the looks of the Double Riders, featuring more red and a slightly more detailed design. 1974 was the year of Kamen Rider X, where our main protagonist Keisuke and his father were betrayed by Keisuke's fiancée in order to assist God, the government of darkness, leading Keisuke and his father to become mortally wounded. Keisuke's father, who was a robotics expert, turned Keisuke into a Kaizorg, also known as X-Rider or Kamen Rider X, in order to save his life. In this series, Keisuke starts as an easygoing character, with the optimism of somebody that's about to get married. But all that is ripped away from him, and he turns into a machine of pure precision and focus. His helmet is meant to look like a skull, and his helmet definitely has a look that calls back to the Skullman manga created by Shotaro Ishinomori. Due to competition from anime on TV at the time, the show had lower ratings than the studio had hoped, and it only lasted 35 episodes. Also in 1974, we had Kamen Rider Amazon. This is the shortest Kamen Rider series ever, and one of the most violent. This show follows Daisuke, who was lost in the Amazon as a child. He was raised by wild animals before eventually being adopted by an Incan tribe. Nearly his entire village would be killed by Golgos, but not before an elder in the tribe performs a ritual to give him the power to become Kamen Rider Amazon. This was an incredibly iconic and unique new look for Kamen Rider, with a helmet design and a suit design that had never been seen before. This was the first rider to not use a belt to henshin, and the first Kamen Rider series since the original to not have any previous riders returning. This is also the very last main Kamen Rider series that did not have a Sentai season air alongside it. 1975 saw the release of Kamen Rider Stronger, which was originally planned to be the final Kamen Rider series. This show follows Shigeru Joe, whose best friend and mentor Goro is killed by Black Satan. Because of this, Shigeru lets himself get turned into a cyborg or Kamen Rider Stronger. He meets Yuriko, also known as Electronic Wave Humanoid Tackle or Denpa Ningen Tekud, who is also a cyborg created by Black Satan, and together they would battle Black Satan and later the Delzer Army. Electronic Wave Humanoid Tackle isn't technically a Kamen Rider, but she definitely has the look of one, especially the ones from the early Showa era, and she is bug-themed, with Tackle's motif being a ladybug, and she was even created by Black Satan in the same way as Stronger. Unfortunately, the actress Kyoko Okada, who played Electronic Wave Humanoid Tackle, passed away at the age of 27 due to an asthma attack. Shigeru was played by Shigeru Araki, who also passed away in 2012 of pneumonia. This was meant to be called Kamen Rider Spark, but that was trademarked in Japan. However, this would have been a really fitting name due to the show's focus on electricity. And this was the very first Kamen Rider series to have a temporary power-up for the main rider, that being Stronger's Charge Up form. 4 whole years later, the Kamen Rider fandom would be introduced to Sky Rider. This was meant to be a reboot of the original Kamen Rider series, after the franchise had been off of TV for 4 whole years, hence the name and similar suit design to Kamen Rider Ichigo. This show would revisit classic themes and tropes from the first 2 Kamen Rider series. In Sky Rider, we follow Hiroshi Tsukuba as he battles Neo Shocker. Eventually, the idea of this being a reboot was phased out over time, and classic Kamen Riders would appear, tying this into the continuity of the rest of the era. With a name like Sky Rider, this series was very focused on flight. However, this was also phased out over time, and as far as I can tell, this was because Shotaro Ishinomori was unhappy with the flight special effects, i.e. he didn't like how it looked when Sky Rider was flying around.
Manana. Manana na. Manana na 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 na. Manana na 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 na.
In 1980, we were introduced to Kamen Rider Super 1. Our protagonist, Kazuya, volunteers for cybernetic surgery in the International Space Development Program in the United States, so he can be an astronaut who doesn't need a spacesuit to survive in space. Unfortunately, before he can make it to space, the base where his operation is being performed is attacked by the Dogma Kingdom, with everyone else being killed.